Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Previously, a broke finance student named Yoga was given a card that allows him to withdraw absurd amounts of money. The catch is that he must give a man named Masaki his future as collateral, and battle at least once a week in another realm. Later, several financial district realms begin to collapse, and it has a terrible effect on the real world. Mikuni does his best to stop the chain reaction C, but Yoga sees that it has a negative effect on the real world as well. The story continues as one of Mikuni's guild members explains that the currencies of every country in the world have begun simultaneously crashing under the pressure of the dollar. America intends to suck in all the money in the world in order to stop the chain reactions of C. Unfortunately, North America has sent the C back towards Japan, and everyone wonders if they will be able to survive the repeating cycle. Masaki agrees to activate the rotary for Mikuni again, but requires more collateral. Everyone watches in amazement at the process, but Jennifer is upset as we see that more Midas money is printed. Assets everywhere feel pain as Jennifer explains to Yoga that Mikuni has activated the rotary again, but it's what is causing them to lose their future. Yoga wants to stop it, but Jennifer has heard that the only people who can make the rotary press move are those that hold a darkness card. Mikuni is the only person with a darkness card in their district, but there is another way to stop the process. There is a 2-hour delay between when the rotary is activated and when the future is lost. In this time, someone must force Mikuni into a deal and bankrupt him. Then take his card for their own and send the rotary press in reverse to return the money. Yoga points out how vast Mikuni's wealth is, and he could never be beaten in a deal. The informant explains that money is Mikuni's only strength, so they must first crash the value of the yen so that the Midas money would become as useless as scrap paper. If you take their trust away from the money, then what is left is nothing more than dust. Mashiu explains that she is just an asset and doesn't care if she disappears, but Yoga points out that he finally knows what the something is that he wants to protect. Elsewhere, Mikuni is told that the transaction is complete. At his guild, Isurugi is revealed to be the traitor as he steals from Mikuni, but the transaction is stopped and he is caught. We then see that the informant knew about it the entire time and has taken the money Isaguri intended to steal. His plan then goes into action as that money is given out to everyone in the real world. The overflow of money crashes the value of the yen and everyone determines that they must switch over to the dollar. Mikuni is informed that he has been challenged to a deal, and when he tries to pass, Masaki reminds him that it costs half his fortune to do so. Jennifer arrives as his opponent and points out that if he pays to pass, then he won't have enough to push back the C. Elsewhere, Yoga enters a deal against a member of Mikuni's guild, who explains that he is really strong. Yoga points out that Mashiu isn't feeling well, and Masaki explains that the rotary causes side effects in all assets. Assets are the very future of each entrepreneur, so it's only natural that they feel pain as that future is being sucked up and exchanged at the moment. Mashiu is eager to fight, but she is clearly not capable, so Yoga explains that he will take care of it. He prepares to fight and explains to her that he only needs to hold out long enough for Jennifer to take Mikuni's darkness card. Yoga's opponent attacks him relentlessly and mocks him for trying to fight on his own. Something happens to his opponent's asset though, and Yoga uses the opportunity to land a powerful strike. Mashiu hates to see Yoga fight for something as uncertain as the future, but Yoga just states how glad he is that he met her, and says that she is his future. His opponent finally manages to get his asset to work, but his attack is stopped as Mashiu has found the strength to fight again. She wants to use a macroflation attack and explains that they can do it if Yoga invests everything he has. Their opponent uses a powerful attack as well, but he is quickly overwhelmed and is in disbelief to have not seen it coming. Yoga is amazed as their attack can be seen from everywhere, and his opponent goes bankrupt. Mashiu is sent back to rest up, and she apologizes for leaving as he is useless without her. Nearby, Jennifer attacks Mikuni and surprises him when she takes his asset and attacks him with it. The two fight it out, but Jennifer begins to rush when Q begins to appear to aid Mikuni. It's too late though, as Q consumes Mikuni's other asset, and Mikuni explains that his hands are bathed in the blood of many, as Q takes interest in Jennifer. In the real world, the informant listens to the news about hyperinflation sweeping the country, and he wonders if Japan or the Midas Bank will be the first to disappear. Back at the fight, Jennifer senses that Yoga has arrived, but we see that she is heavily wounded. Mikuni explains that she has no hope of winning, so she should just surrender, but she would rather cause him trouble until her dying breath. She makes one last selfish request to Yoga and asks him to take her asset named Gorge as he is her future. Yoga accepts as Mikuni warns that he should back down, but Yoga is furious to see everyone suffering because of what Mikuni has done. Mikuni is then informed of Yoga's plan to devalue the yen in the hopes of weakening the Midas Bank, but Mikuni just instructs his guild to continue gathering defense funds for the imminent chain reaction that's coming. Mikuni requests that Masaki start the rotary up again, and Masaki explains that at this rate, Mikuni will end up using his entire future. Yoga tries to stop him, but Mikuni points out that it's impossible, since Yoga doesn't have power. Masaki appears to instruct Yoga to look at his card, and everyone is shocked to see that he now has a darkness card. This complicates things greatly now, as this means Yoga can reverse the rotary press. Mikuni is furious to see this, but Masaki points out that it was a decision made from above. Yoga instructs Masaki to reverse the rotary press, but Mikuni promises to stop him, and Masaki approves of a deal between the two of them. In the real world, it is explained that the value of the yen has tanked, and citizens of Japan frantically try to exchange their yen for dollars. Back in the financial district, Masaki points out that there is only about an hour until the payment is processed, and Yoga's fight begins. The two start off spending their wealth on microflation attacks, but Mashio ends up taking some damage. Yoga decides to use Gorge instead, and tries a more tricky approach. Mikuni handles Yoga and his copy easily though, and Q unleashes a terrifying attack. Gorge is injured, so Yoga switches back to Mashio, and Mikuni expresses his disappointment in Yoga for not standing by him. Mikuni prepares his next attack, and Mashio thinks they have to resort to a macroflation attack, but Yoga doesn't want to. Yoga gives in to her recommendation, but Q's attack manages to keep them from moving. Mikuni explains that Yoga would have done the same thing if he had a sister in the same situation as his, but Yoga exclaims that he is just being selfish. Mikuni tries to deal the final blow, but it fails, and we see that in the real world, stores have begun refusing to accept the yen and only accept the dollar. Yoga takes advantage of the situation, and Mashio tries to talk sense into Q. Mikuni explains to Yoga that his sister's last words express how she wanted her last moment to last forever. The reason he says that the present is what is truly important is so that humanity can value the people and things right before their eyes, not wandering to a future that can't be predicted. Mikuni points out that his actions save lives, but Yoga wonders what's the point in saving someone when they have no future. Mashio attempts to take down the fleeing Q, but Q manages to freeze her once again. While she is frozen, Mashio points out how Q is Mikuni's sister and asks her what exactly Mikuni is trying to do. Mashio points out how she is fighting for Yoga, but wonders if Q is really doing what is best for Mikuni, and if Mikuni is fighting for her. We then get a glimpse into the real world as people begin to realize that the smart ones have already left, and people are beginning to see the black currency. Mikuni explains that mankind will eventually fall one day, and that is why he lives every day like it's his last. He commands Q to devour Yoga, but he is shocked to see her look more like his sister. Yoga seizes this opportunity instantly and lands his attack on Mikuni. In the real world, the chain reaction is about to hit Japan, and Yoga punches Mikuni to end their fight. Mikuni has a vision of himself with his sister, where she points out that he is becoming more and more like their father, making him question what the point of it all is if this is true. In the real world, everyone is shocked to see that the chain reaction has passed right through Japan. Masaki explains that this is because when the Japanese yen lost its value, the Midas money disappeared. However, their financial district will soon cease to exist, and he asks what the fighters would like to do. Mikuni points out how he has lost, so he doesn't care, and Yoga instructs Masaki to begin spinning the rotary press in reverse. Yoga vows to return the future to everyone, and the process begins. Mikuni says goodbye to Q and recommends that she go back to where she belongs. She wishes that she could be by his side once again, but he points out that can never happen. He apologizes and says goodbye to Q, but corrects himself and calls her by his sister's name Takaku. Mashio is glad to see that they have won, and Yoga points out that this is goodbye, but she reminds him about liking him 30 times more. They finally share the kiss she has wanted for so long, and reveals that she might even like him over 40 times more than she usually does. She says once more how glad she is to have met him, and he says the same to her, just as she disappears. The two guys then say goodbye to each other as Yoga hopes to see Mikuni in the future, but Mikuni passes on that and explains that he will remain with today for all of eternity. Orbs begin to flow into the real world as everyone's future begins to return to them all across Japan. We then watch as Yoga wakes up in a mysterious place and is asked what is right and what is wrong. There is no right answer, everyone is right. Everyone fought to make the world better, and in the end, it improved. Yoga wants to know what the financial district even is, and the mysterious man explains that everything exists with the purpose of guiding humanity to a better future. He states that humanity has taken back something precious, and to never forget that, just as the Midas Bank is swallowed up. We then see that Yoga has returned to the real world and finds that things are peaceful again. Not everything is the same though, as Japan now uses the dollar instead of the yuan. Yoga changes his mind when he goes to see Hanabi, and sees someone that looks like her at the park who is a teacher just like Hanabi wanted to be. Masaki appears next to him as he can tell that Yoga is happy to think that maybe Hanabi is enjoying her blessed future. Yoga is horrified to see Masaki as he hopes it's some kind of joke, but Masaki tells him it isn't. He explains that this is the future he has returned, and the future is also collateral. Where the future exists, so too will he, and the financial district is still intact. There is no need to worry though, as there is an abundance of futures to use as collateral, and Masaki explains that Yoga can come knocking whenever he pleases. Yoga has no choice but to accept this reality. He then looks at a picture that he wishes he would have smiled in, but immediately looks ahead to the future. Thanks for watching this series. We'll give a new series a try in the next video.